Welcome to the review of match number 6. It's RR against KKR, two sides that struggled in the first round of the IPL. They're going to play at Guwahati, which is the home ground for Rian Parag. It's Assam, which is the side that he captains in the Ranji Trophy in domestic cricket. So good opportunity for him to captain his side at home. Now, rather than me just go through the sides like I did the first time, these are the teams that they played in their first round. So we look at RR, that's the side that they played, and KKR the same. And I'm going to talk about potential changes that they might make, areas that they certainly need to improve on from their first match. So if we look at RR, now they certainly looked lost in the field against SRH. And there's no doubt that SRH can do that to any side with the batting heavy side that they have and the power and the attitude that they have from a batting point of view. But what I will say is I'll look at these seam bowlers, I'll look at this bowling attack for RR, and it's very much same. And the reason why I say that is they're pretty much all new ball bowlers. And I know Sandeep Sharma has developed his skills and he can be used in the middle and the end, but he also could take the new ball. Deshpande took the new ball for CSK when he was there. Theeksana is best utilised with the new ball. So is Jofra Archer and so is Farooqi. So you've very much got the power play absolutely nailed in terms of options, but not many of them would you say are specialists at different times of the game. Sandeep potentially at the back end, Deshpande has improved. But for me, Jofra Archer needs to bowl the first over. Now, if he's the guy that you want to lead your bowling attack, you need to use him in the spots where he's going to be the most effective. And he takes the new ball, he sets the tone. Now, by playing Farooqi, he has to take the new ball. He's a swing bowler. The thing that I found with Farooqi that I struggle with is that he really struggled to find a length. And whether he was trying too hard, whether he was under the pump a little bit, but he was either really full or he was basically in that, what I call a dead length. So a length above waist high, which is pretty much a free hit. So he never really bowled those balls hitting the top of the bat, potentially the top of the stumps, but not full enough to drive. He was either full, which was pretty much a free hit. Sure, he swung it, but he didn't swing it from length. So for me, that would be a change that I would look to make for two reasons. It would give the balance of the attack. They'd still have three seamers that can bowl at different phases of the game, but it would allow them to bring in Hasaranga. So I would bring in Wanindu Hasaranga. And I do that for a few reasons as well, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But that allows Jofra Archer to bowl with the new ball. So he will either bowl with the new ball with Theeksana, or Deshpande could if they wanted that. But it still gives them plenty of options in the power play. But post-power play, it gives them a lot more options, particularly to attack the middle order of KKR, who do struggle against spin, or indeed wrist spin at times, especially power player like Russell. So it gives them different points of attack. Hasaranga would slot in here after Shubham Dubey, who was particularly impressive with the bat in the last match, and allows them to have, as I said, three quicks, allows them the two front line, the two Sri Lankan spinners, which would have been their plan when they picked their side at the auction, and then allows Parag and Rana to bowl the odd over when you've got the left-handers, potentially Venkatesh or Rinku, where they could slide through one or two overs. I don't think they need another bowler. I don't think they can afford to with just having the five domestic batters at the top. You know, they've got plenty of quality there. The other thing I would look at is I would swap these two around. I just think Rian Parag is too much of too valuable a player to be able to chuck in against the new ball, especially when the field's up and he likes to go over the top. If he does that early when the field's up, it's quite a high risk. And Nitesh Rana has batted at 3 a lot. So for me, I just would not risk Rian Parag. He is a player who controls the middle overs nicely. If he's in at the back end, he gives you another death over specialist from a power perspective. And then you've got the likes of Dhruv Jurel, Hetmeyer, Shubham Dubey to go with Rian Parag. So that to me looks far better balanced. If those two swap round, you bring in Hasaranga for Farooqi. For me, you've got a far better balanced attack. And you also have enough spin to be able to attack the middle order. As I said, Venkatesh, even Raghavanshi is more equipped against seam than spin, even though he's a nice player over the offside. Rinku likes to start against pace. And Russell, there's no doubt Russell struggles against wrist spin, and every side needs to keep that wrist spin up their sleeve in order to attack him, especially early on before he gets set. So that would be what I would do here from an RR perspective. I would see Jofra Archer. If we think about Josh Hazlewood, we go back again. That first over Josh Hazlewood bowled against KKR, that hard length, that ball just nipping off the seam, that's what Jofra Archer does. And he can do exactly the same thing to Quinton de Kock and Narayan at the top of the order if he gets that opportunity to do so. I think he's wasted coming in later, and he needs a confidence boost, no doubt about that. If we look at KKR, Quinton de Kock is a point of contention just because he's holding out Gurbaz, who was in such fine form in the T20 World Cup, the highest run scorer. He did well for KKR when he came in, when Phil Salt left at the end of last season. He is ready to go. So Quinton de Kock will be under a little bit of internal pressure around selection, and he is the type of player that he can get on a roll of misses, but he equally can get on a roll of big scores as well. So it's just how much patience does KKR have with Quinton de Kock? He got nicked out early, that can happen. He could have been out the ball before also, so he needs to find his form quickly. Otherwise, I think KKR will move on to Gurbaz relatively quickly. Sunny Narayan, once he got past that initial burst of Hazlewood, he looked good. He probably got out just at the point where he was really about to take the game away. But him and Rahane played beautifully. Rahane at 3. I was keen on Guwahati at 3, to be fair. But Rahane came out and he played the way that he did when he played at CSK with all that freedom. Now, they are going to need that freedom from Rahane, but they're also going to need a bit of substance. Because we saw once the middle order got exposed by Krunal Pandya, then they can be found wanting a little bit. And I think it comes down to this guy here, Venkatesh Iyer, who they spent over 23.75 crore on. At the moment, he looks like a tin man. And that's because his legs are straight, his arms are straight, he looks late on the ball. He looks like he's not moving particularly well, and he needs to actually start to get his feet moving, start to relax his body a little bit so he can actually play balls that are slightly different pace. At the moment, as I said, very rigid in everything he does. So all it takes is a change of pace and he loses his sink. So for me, he's going to have to play a huge role. And they obviously, when they picked the team, they were aware that he was going to have to play a big role paying that amount of money for him. So he is that, as I talk about, that conduit between the top order who are obviously going to go hard and setting a platform for these guys to finish at the back end. And he's the guy who has to do it. Guwahati can, but Guwahati is new to the IPL. Venkatesh Iyer is experienced. He's been paid a huge amount of money, so the expectation is that he's going to get hopefully a little bit lighter on his feet and start to move a little bit better into the ball. So they need to see that from him in this game moving forward. Rinku, it's very early in the season, but he needs to show that he's not a one-trick pony. And when he gets an opportunity to bat more overs, which he did the other day after they lost those wickets, he needs to show that he's capable of manoeuvring the ball around before getting into the finishing phase. So, he's got work to do in terms of proving that he's not a one-dimensional player. But there is so much talent in that group. As I said, from 6 to 8, huge amount of power, but they need the platform set from those below. They were 107 for 2 when Narayan got out. So and that was after 10 overs. They were incredibly well set to get 220, but they didn't do the middle bit well enough to be able to allow the finishers to come in and do their job. For me, the other thing is that I look at Spencer Johnson and I look at him and I go, look, he's really a one-phase bowler. He's a guy who'll run in and hit the length, but if his length gets hit, and we saw Virat Kohli hit him back over his head a couple of times, he looks a little bit lost in terms of where to go from there. So, he's a guy who could bowl 3 overs in the power play if he hits that great length and the batters are not sure what to do. But if he misses his length, as I said, I don't think he's quite got the tools or the experience to be able to deal with it. And for me, if Nortje is fit, I would bring him straight in because he can bowl in all 3 phases. You've still got Harshit Rana who can bowl in the power play. Obviously, Aurora is going to do that job anyway, the way he swings the ball. Even though he had a tough day at the office, he would certainly get the backing to do that. Harshit Rana can do that job. They can even bowl Chakravarti in the power play. So for me, Nortje is the perfect fit with that seam attack to be able to bowl maybe 1 in the power play, 1 in the middle, and a couple at the end. So he gives them a lot better balance. Unsure of his fitness, but if he's fit, for me, he would slide straight back in. I talked the last match about Narayan and Chakravarti in terms of their impact against the RCB batters. Now, Phil Salt took care of Chakravarti early, and from that point, RCB didn't really have to take the spin on. I think the one beauty of having an Indian top 5 is they would have faced a lot of Chakravarti when he plays for Tamil Nadu in domestic cricket. So he won't be quite the mystery that he is to overseas batters. So I think RR's top 5 are pretty well equipped if they're still batting when Chakravarti comes in, and particularly if he comes back for a second and third spell, then I think KKR won't get the maximum benefit from someone like Chakravarti. Narayan will still be an unknown quantity, still a high-quality bowler, but most sides tend to just play him out rather than look to attack him. Be interesting to see what RR do. Sampson certainly likes to attack the opposition spinners, so if he's in, I expect him to take them on rather than sit on them. For me, both sides obviously need to get their campaign underway. They've both come off a loss. For me, if Jofra Archer is able to get early wickets here, expose the middle order to some spin of Tiksana and Hasaranga, then RR are very much in the game. If they don't, and this top 3 are able to get away on RR, then I can see them having another struggle in this match. But I think it'll be tight. I think Assam are in for an absolute beauty of a match. But for me, KKR, if the top order set the platform, then I think they'll be slightly too good from RR today.